That is illegal. But the arrest per se may not be, because if he continues to be in custody and he has gone back to the same court.
Yeah, the way I look at it, Maria, is that what the Supreme Court seems to have done, after all the discussion and after Imran Khan's lawyer has also tried to explain the whole situation, what the Supreme Court seems to have said is that procedurally,
yes,
it was not right. There were procedural lapses, as a result of which the arrest that had taken place, that is considered null and void. And now, as it has not pronounced itself on the substantive aspects, and so it has sent the case back to the Islamabad High Court to once again deliberate upon the substantive aspects, and then from there take on whether it is he's to be arrested and not to be arrested. And if that time he is to be arrested, then he has to be arrested in the proper manner, NAB, whatever does, not the Pakistan Rangers, etc. The second point I have is, meaning, what is this commitment that the Supreme Court has taken from Imran Khan that you will have to accept? Meaning, is it up to the free volition of the individual who has been charged with a crime in a court of law, that, he can come and he say, okay, you pronounce a judgment and I'm not going to accept it? Meaning, this I find rather farcical, to put it mildly. The third point is, when you say that it is he's in the custody of the Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court doesn't have its own security force. It has the, the normal law and order machinery, the normal police machinery. So it is not that they are going to sort of, muster up some special category of security personnel who are going to look after him. And the last point here is, I think over this last many weeks and months, the credibility of Supreme Court has also become highly suspect. So there might be all these celebrations and rejoicing by the PTI. But again, going forward, we'll really have to see what is really involved as far as the Supreme Court judgment is concerned. Maria.
So what happened was not justice for Imran Khan, is what the Pakistan Supreme Court has observed, but he is in police custody. He's going back to the same court, that is Islamabad High Court, from where he was arrested in the first place. So the question then is that this is only legitimizing, perhaps in the next few hours we'll know about it, what next for Imran Khan in terms of his legal battle. This could really escalate further, Javed Khan. Because the Supreme Court has also said that you will have to accept the judgment when you go back to Islamabad High Court.
Yeah, allow me to make very brief comments. What your panelist from India said, he made some very pertinent observations. But let me explain a few points. He was in the custody of National Accountability Bureau, not in the custody of Islamabad Police. He will not be going back to the custody of National Accountability Bureau, and he was at the stage of probe, interrogation, and inquiry. And he will no more be probed or interrogated as far as the next 20 or 24 hours are concerned.
Just help us understand. So as far as the NAB's role is concerned, that has been questioned. But, but other agencies can arrest him. So he goes to the custody of Islamabad Police now.
No, Maria, basically, he was taken into custody by Pakistan Rangers who were assisting the Islamabad administration and sent to the custody of National Accountability Bureau. And he was there for 8 days remand, and that remand has been declared null and void. He will not be there. He will not be interrogated. He will not be questioned. And now you have a very important question when you say that what happens tomorrow. Yes, he could be arrested again tomorrow, or he could be freed tomorrow as well. Now it all depends the kind of, and I disagree with what the guest from Pakistan said, that the Islamabad High Court has already given the decision. That particular decision has been overturned. Now the Islamabad High Court Chief Justice will have to constitute a new bench. And that bench, then that bench makes the decision.
So there'll be a new bench that will be now looking at the case of Imran Khan first.
Absolutely.
As far as the arrest is concerned, it is illegal because it was done by NAB. That entire process that was followed by Pakistan Rangers and NAB was wrong. But Imran Khan continues to be not a free man, Kamar Chima. Imran is not a free man.
In my understanding, he's not a free man. One thing. Secondly, if the honorable panelist is mentioning that the Islamabad High Court will constitute a bench tomorrow, yes, they may constitute a bench tomorrow. But obviously, if once they have declared that his arrest is legal, then tomorrow, how can they say that the arrest is illegal? And the arrest of the Imran Khan has been released by the National Accountability Bureau. The chairman of the National Accountability Bureau, Lieutenant General Nazir Ahmad, has signed the arrest warrants for Imran Khan, which has already been on media. So, in my understanding, Supreme Court just wanted to give a sort of an impression in public. 1 second, they wanted to give an impression of a relief in front of masses. Third, the military, the public believe that the only relief they can get is from the Supreme Court. The fourth point, which is important to be understood, is that they wanted to give a message that to the even security agencies that, okay, try to think something in between if you can find. And at the same time, the Supreme Court also gave a support to the government so that the protest in different parts of the country can end. Because right after the Supreme Court, when the Supreme Court asked that Imran Khan to be produced in front of the Supreme Court, everybody was happy that the Supreme Court has called him, and the military and everyone cannot do anything. So after that, the protesters might have gone home, or they have
basically, Kamar Chima, this is good optics of justice when it is not really justice for Imran Khan. Because if you look at what really happened, right in front of Chief Justice of Pakistan, Umar Ata Bandial, he told the anti-corruption agency, that is the NAB of Pakistan, please bring the former Prime Minister before us, because it was listening to the petition against his dramatic arrest in a graft case. Then it goes on to say that I'm happy to see you, I'm happy to watch you, and then says that is illegal, but you have to make a promise and tell your supporters that there cannot be any violence. So if you look at it, it's all optics, pure optics that played out. Kamar Chima.
Yes, this is optics. And let me tell you, this was basically relief to these law enforcement agencies, because there were protests in Peshawar and Lahore and other parts of the country. And now those protesters will have to come again tomorrow, maybe, that knowing that Imran Khan has been arrested by the authorities. So in another way, the government failed to control the protest in last 48 hours. So that is one thing. That was one angle this government was looking at. And still the internet services, the broadband services have been blocked by the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, and people are using Wi-Fi from the homes. So there is no 3G service, no 4G service in Pakistan. Even in some cities in Pakistan, there is no the cable service, TV services being provided. And I'm in contact with many of my friends across the country. So I think, in my understanding, this is a relief that has come from Supreme Court to the law enforcement agencies, and this is an eyewash for the public as well. And Imran Khan's body language was telling he was not happy, because he requested that his home in Islamabad, Bani Gala, to be declared as sub-jail. And the Supreme Court said that we cannot take a risk, because right now we ordered that you should be produced tomorrow. So we want to keep you in a police line. So this is a public, in my understanding, this is an eyewash. And he may be arrested tomorrow. This is what I read from this.
Certainly appears to be the case. Is it a case of an eyewash? Because the further details that are emerging on what really happened or what really played out in the Pakistan Supreme Court, it was that the PTI chief requested the CJP to send him home, but the top judge said he was not going to do that and assured him that he would remain at peace at the police lines guest house. The Chief Justice said you can stay there, talk, rest, and then present yourself before the Islamabad High Court tomorrow, which is 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time. The CJP then directed officials to allow Imran Khan to meet as many as 10 people. So Imran Khan will be meeting some of his family members, friends, and his lawyers tonight, perhaps. So some kind of relief, but not really relief. And optics of it, is it really a hogwash? Are you in agreement, Javed Khan, with what Kamar Chima and I believe in?
I think there are two very important points, Maria. One is that one has to be produced before the court, and there's a very fine difference. One has to be produced, or one will present himself or herself. I think what Supreme Court said, Imran Khan will have to present himself before Islamabad High Court. Produce means some agency,
no, but Javed
some
Khan, he can
security
go
agency.
home and then also present himself. I mean, the fact is that he has been a law-abiding former Prime Minister. He was not running away from his country.
But I think, Maria, there's another positivity as well. The positivity is the whole country was in turmoil, and the very violent kind of clashes were taking place between the protesters and the law enforcement agencies. Imran Khan issued a very good message that he wouldn't like his followers, his workers, and his supporters to be violent. And I think that is very important. Entire Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf on one side, if they keep on harping the same thing the whole day long, his supporters wouldn't have listened. But since now he has given the message to his supporters that they should remain peaceful, I think that's the positivity, because we have seen the last 48 hours, the kind of a turmoil never witnessed in the history of this country.
Yes.
So there would be a kind of a breather. And secondly, I think there is a possibility, 50-50 chance he could be given the relief tomorrow, and he could be sort of rearrested by the National Accountability Bureau as well. So we need to keep our fingers crossed. It is extremely difficult to predict what could happen tomorrow, but I think the possibility is that he will be given the relief.
Ashok Sajjanhar, is this optics of justice some kind of hogwash when you give an impression that you're standing for justice, because the entire country, certainly Pakistan and its people, are looking towards the Supreme Court? They were hoping that there'll be relief. Yes, you get relief, but yet not walk out of jail like a free man.
Yeah, thank you very much, Maria. So just two very short points. One, in response to what Mr. Javed Khan has said, that he is a law-abiding citizen. If in that sense he was so much of a law-abiding citizen, when the police had gone earlier to his residence to arrest him, they had warrants to arrest him. Then, his supporters came out and the police tried so many times, but they were not really able to arrest him, although they had legal warrants to do so. And I guess, in terms the ruffling and, the tussle that took place at the, High Court, that would not have happened if in the past he had come on his own and presented himself to the law-abiding authorities. The second point, Maria, I want to make is that I think that if what you and what Mr. Kamar Chima say is correct, then there is going to be a huge backlash. And why do I say that? Because, the supporters of the PTI, supporters of Imran Khan have gone on saying that, they have been given relief. Imran Khan has been given relief. And if tomorrow they find that, he's going to go back again to the prison, to the jail, and there is going to be, they will feel cheated, and there is going to be such a bitter backlash. I'm afraid that it's not that, relief has been provided, as Mr. Kamar Chima says, to the law enforcement authorities. On the contrary, I think it will make their task even more difficult, because, the supporters would feel that they have been sort of, they have been, Imran Khan has been played with, he's been cheated, and they will come back with even greater force. So I think it could really, if he's put back into jail, it could really cause much bigger problem for the law enforcement authorities and the army.
Yes, because the Pakistan Prime Minister had addressed the nation and he had justified this entire arrest. Kamar Chima, quick word from you, and then we slip into a short break.
Well, yes, even for a very important development is that just tomorrow the National Security Committee meeting has been called by the Prime Minister, where the Chairman, Joint Chief of and other services chief will also be present. So right after the Supreme Court asked that Imran Khan be produced in front of the Supreme Court, so the National Security Committee meeting was called, one thing. The second, obviously, there is a law and order situation at the moment. The properties have been burned. There is a massive damage in the country, and the supporters of Imran Khan, they have made mockery of the justice in reality. So in my understanding, whatever the Imran Khan is going through, he's not going to get released very soon from the courts. So there are so many cases in front of him. And the manner in which the law enforcement agencies took him, this is one of the unprecedented ways. And the entire leadership has been arrested because they believe that they can create a law and order situation. So this is not something going to end very soon. These are important days.
The arrest, release, arrest perhaps saga is not ending anytime soon. Ashok Sajjanhar, Javed Khan, Kamar Cheema, really appreciate your time. We are slipping into a short break. After that, the top story, which involves politicians, legislature, and judiciary from India.
This seems like a case of property dispute, but now, since the person has been taken into custody, it has now very clearly been revealed about the nitty-gritties of this entire operation that was carried out by these two individuals. Basically, they wanted to give a message of atrocities against Sikhs, and hence these low-intensity blasts were carried out. Now, these bombs that were used, these were crude bombs, and these were not ID or any other sort of sophisticated bombs, but these were crude bombs that were used, and hence it was of very, very low intensity. Now, remember the blast that happened on Saturday, at least 6 people got injured, whereas the blast that happened on Monday, another person got injured. He had a few splinters on his leg. Now, this entire investigation is now being carried out.
A development coming out of Amritsar, where early this morning the area around the Golden Temple saw the third blast it's seen since just Saturday. Now, in the blast that took place this morning, 5 people have already been arrested. Now, the blast itself took place in the early hours of the morning. And as we just told you, this is the third blast the area has seen in just the last 7 days. Now, according to central agency sources, a kind of potassium chlorate was actually possibly used in the making of the explosion itself. Sources have further said that the blast seems to be more to provoke than to harm, with the timing of the last 2 blasts coinciding with the fact that there were lesser people in the area because it took place early in the morning. Now, the Punjab Police DGP is expected to brief the media over all of these attacks. Let's take a look. This is a walkthrough, a ground report that my colleague Rajiv Sharma brought us from the ground. Take a look.
मंदिर साहिब के बिल्कुल पास श्री गुरु रामदास सराय में एक धमाका होता है। 12:10 पर इसकी सूचना पुलिस को मिलती है और पुलिस कमिश्नर खुद मौके पर पहुंचते। तो इस समय हम उसी जगह पर मौजूद हैं। आप देख सकते हैं कि श्री गुरु रामदास जो सराय है उसका बिल्कुल ये पिछला हिस्सा है और आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर गलियारा जो बना हुआ है जहाँ पर जो लोग हैं वो सैर करते। तो इसी इलाके में कहा जा रहा है कि रात को तीसरा जो ब्लास्ट है वो हुआ था। जैसे पुलिस को जानकारी मिली तो पुलिस कमिश्नर नौनिहाल सिंह खुद यहाँ पर पहुंचे। उसके बाद जांच जो है वो शुरू की गई।
हमारे को रात को 12 बजे के आसपास, 12:15 के आसपास यहाँ पे इंटीमेशन आई थी कि यहाँ पे एक लाउड साउंड हैज बीन हर्ड. इट इज सस्पेक्टेड दैट देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि एक एक्सप्लोजन और हुआ है, बट बिकॉज अभी अंधेरा है और ये इस बिल्डिंग के पीछे हुआ है, वहाँ पे अभी तक एक कंफर्म नहीं हो पाया है कि वेदर इट इज अ ब्लास्ट और कोई और इंसिडेंट है. आर FSL टीम इज ऑन द स्पॉट, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ वेरीफाई कर रहे हैं. एंड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर्स, एज पार्ट जो हमारी इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, हम सस्पेक्ट्स को राउंड अप कर रहे हैं, लोगों को वेरीफाई कर रहे हैं, पूछताछ कर रहे हैं.
बड़े लंबे समय तो मैं देख ਰਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੀਰੀਅਸਲੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਫਿਰਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ. ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ 2-4 ਦਿਨ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ 2 ਘਟਨਾਵਾਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬਲਾਸਟ ਹੋਏ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਬਲਾਸਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਦਿਲਚਸਪੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਖਾਈ. ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਵੱਜ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੀ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ ਵੀ. ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਤੱਥ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ, ਉਹ ਤੱਥ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਾਲੇ ਨਸ਼ਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੇ, ਪਰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਚੇਚੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਡੰਗਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂਚ ਕਰਕੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਨੰਗੀ ਕਰੋ।
Like Aam Aadmi Party, Bhagwant Mann should spend more time on focusing on the law and order situation of the state rather than arresting journalists who show the truth of the mirror of truth to the entire Kejriwal and Bhagwant Mann establishment.
सर कैसे ऐसा हुआ जहां पर एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है जो अमृतसर साहिब के
Okay, we're now moving to more details in this same case. This is a CNN News 18 exclusive on the Amritsar blast probe. Remember, we told you that 5 people had been arrested already in relation to the explosion that took place this morning in particular. Now, top intelligence sources are telling us that the blasts were done by 2 individuals, possibly to give a message against the atrocities that have been taking place against Sikhs. We're learning that one of those 2 was a former government employee. Now, we do have more details about the person. We are learning that he was upset, as we just told you, due to what he perceived were anti-Sikh activities taking place across the state. My colleague Anshul is with us to bring us more details. Anshul, some media outlets are also saying that the suspect distributed pamphlets at the site when the explosion took place, and those pamphlets also contained some information. Bring us some context, please, as to what took place early this morning and as to what police are finding now in their probe.
So yes, the police is carrying out a detailed investigation in this entire matter. If you see, initially the kind of reports that we picked up from Amritsar, the DGP himself and the other police sources on the ground said that this does not seem like a terror attack and this seems like a case of property dispute. But now, since the person has been taken into custody, it has now very clearly been revealed about the integrities of this entire operation that was carried out by these 2 individuals. Basically, they wanted to give a message of atrocity.
I am Rashid Kidwai. Catch me on CNN News 18 as I join the channel's non-stop coverage on Karnataka elections on the 13th of May.
This entire investigation is now being carried out.
A development coming out of Amritsar, where early this morning the area around the Golden Temple saw the 3rd blast it's seen since just Saturday. Now, in the blast that took place this morning, 5 people have already been arrested. Now, the blast itself took place in the early hours of the morning. And as we just told you, this is the 3rd blast the area has seen in just the last 7 days. Now, according to central agency sources, a kind of potassium chlorate was actually possibly used in the making of the explosion itself. Sources have further said that the blast seems to be more to provoke than to harm, with the timing of the last 2 blasts coinciding with the fact that there were lesser people in the area because it took place early in the morning. Now, the Punjab Police DGP is expected to brief the media over all of these attacks. Let's take a look. This is a walkthrough, a ground report that my colleague Rajiv Sharma brought us from the ground. Take a look.
हरिमंदिर साहिब के बिल्कुल पास श्री गुरु रामदास सराय में एक धमाका होता है। 12:10 पर इसकी सूचना पुलिस को मिलती है और पुलिस कमिश्नर खुद मौके पर पहुंचते। तो इस समय हम उसी जगह पर मौजूद हैं। आप देख सकते हैं कि श्री गुरु रामदास जो सराय है उसका बिल्कुल ये पिछला हिस्सा है और आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर गलियारा जो बना हुआ है जहाँ पर जो लोग हैं वो सैर करते हैं। तो इसी इलाके में कहा जा रहा है कि रात को तीसरा जो ब्लास्ट है वो हुआ था। जैसे पुलिस को जानकारी मिली तो पुलिस कमिश्नर नौनिहाल सिंह खुद यहाँ पर पहुंचे। उसके बाद जांच जो है वो शुरू की गई।
हमारे को रात को 12 बजे के आसपास, 12:15 के आसपास यहाँ पे इंटीमेशन आई थी कि यहाँ पे एक लाउड साउंड हैज़ बीन हर्ड। इट इज़ सस्पेक्टेड दैट देयर इज़ अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि एक एक्सप्लोजन और हुआ है, बट बिकॉज अभी अंधेरा है और ये इस बिल्डिंग के पीछे हुआ है, वहाँ पे अभी तक एक कंफर्म नहीं हो पाया है गया कि वेदर इट इज़ अ ब्लास्ट और कोई और इंसिडेंट है। आर FSL टीम इज़ ऑन द स्पॉट, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ वेरीफाई कर रहे हैं एंड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर्स, एज पार्ट जो हमारी इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, हम सस्पेक्ट्स को राउंड अप कर रहे हैं, लोगों को वेरीफाई कर रहे हैं, पूछताछ कर रहे हैं।
बड़े लंबे समय तो ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਿਹਾ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੀਰੀਅਸਲੀ ਘਟਨਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਫਿਰਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ 2-4 ਦਿਨ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ 2 ਘਟਨਾਵਾਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬਲਾਸਟ ਹੋਏ, ਪਰ ਉਹ ਬਲਾਸਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਦਿਲਚਸਪੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿਖਾਈ। ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਵੱਜ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੀ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ ਵੀ। ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਤੱਥ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਵੀ, ਉਹ ਤੱਥ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਾਲੇ ਨਸ਼ਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੇ, ਪਰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਚੇਚੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਡੰਗਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂਚ ਕਰਕੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਨੰਗੀ ਕਰੋ।
Like Aam Aadmi Party, Bhagwant Mann should spend more time on focusing on the law and order situation of the state rather than arresting journalists who show the truth of the mirror of truth to the entire Kejriwal and Bhagwant Mann establishment.
सर कैसे ऐसा हुआ जहां पर एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है जो अमृतसर साहिब के
Okay, we're now moving to more details in this same case. This is a CNN News 18 exclusive on the Amritsar blast probe. Remember, we told you that 5 people had been arrested already in relation to the explosion that took place this morning in particular. Now, top intelligence sources are telling us that the blasts were done by 2 individuals, possibly to give a message against the atrocities that have been taking place against Sikhs. We're learning that one of those 2 was a former government employee. Now, we do have more details about the person. We are learning that he was upset, as we just told you, due to what he perceived were anti-Sikh activities taking place across the state. My colleague Anshul is with us to bring us more details. Anshul, some media outlets are also saying that the suspect distributed pamphlets at the site when the explosion took place, and those pamphlets also contained some information. Bring us some context, please, as to what took place early this morning and as to what police are finding now in their probe.
So yes, the police is carrying out a detailed investigation in this entire matter. If you see, initially the kind of reports that we picked up from Amritsar, the DGP himself and the other police sources on the ground said that this does not seem like a terror attack and this seems like a case of property dispute. But now, since the person has been taken into custody, it has now very clearly been revealed about the integrities of this entire operation that was carried out by these 2 individuals. Basically, they wanted to give a message of atrocities against Sikhs, and hence these low-intensity blasts were carried out. Now, these bombs that were used, these were crude bombs, and these were not ID or any other sort of sophisticated bombs, but these were crude bombs that were used, and hence it was of very, very low intensity. Now, remember the blast that happened on Saturday, at least 6 people got injured, whereas the blast that happened on Monday, another person got injured. He had a few splinters on his leg. Now, this entire investigation is now being carried out.
A development coming out of Amritsar, where early this morning, the area around the Golden Temple saw the...
The Supreme Court has delivered a mega jolt to the political landscape of Maharashtra. A 5-judge constitutional bench headed by Chief Justice DY Chandrachud pronounced that it cannot order the restoration of the Uddhav government as the Chief Minister resigned without facing a floor test. The apex court said that the decision to quit was voluntary. The BJP has hailed the ruling, saying the court's refusal to reinstate the MVA, that is the Maha Vikas Aghadi government, shows that the Shinde government is legitimate and legally stable. Sources say there may be a cabinet expansion on the cards in the coming days, where 15 to 16 ministers could be inducted in the Eknath Shinde government. However, the top court also stated that the governor's decision for a floor test was wrong. The Supreme Court ruled that the exercise of discretionary power was not as per the law, adding that the governor erred in judgment that the Uddhav government had no majority. The court said that there was no objective material to doubt the integrity of the MVA government, and a floor test cannot be used for the resolution of a party dispute. While the court has ruled that the Speaker will decide on the disqualification of MLAs, the Uddhav camp has said that the Chief Minister should resign on moral grounds, as the Supreme Court has questioned the entire process. However, both the Speaker and the former governor have defended their actions, calling them legally sound. Joining me on the top of the show, the big newsmaker, Rahul Navrekar, is the Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly. Rahul, really appreciate your time. Talking to News 18 before the big Supreme Court verdict, you had said that only the Speaker can decide on the disqualification of MLAs. Now, Top Court 2 has ordered that you would take the final call on the disqualification of 16 MLAs of the Eknath Shinde camp within reasonable time. By when we shall expect your decision on the issue, because the current House is nearing its 4th year?
Well, like I had said it earlier, the Supreme Court has rightly recognized the powers and the duties of the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly to adjudicate issues pertaining to disqualification in accordance with Schedule 10 of the Constitution of India. This is, in effect, recognizing the constitutional discipline that needs to be followed. In our Constitution, we've got the executive, legislature, judiciary, which are the three wings of the Constitution, which are equal and neither have superintendence over the other. And they are required to act within their scope of jurisdiction of work, which has been mandated by the Constitution. And the fact that the authority to adjudicate disqualification petitions are solely with the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, and the courts have rightly recognized this. So I welcome this judgment. And with regards to the time that will be taken to take a decision on these petitions, the court has asked the Speaker to also adjudicate the fact as to who really represents the Shiv Sena political party. And they have laid down guidelines with regards to that. So we'll have to first get into that issue as to who really represents the political party. Based on that, we'll be able to decide who would be the whip and who should be the whip of the party in the State Assembly. And we'll have to then decide on each petition, on the merits of each petition, whether the claims made in those petitions, the allegations made in those petitions are maintainable or not. All the rules of CPC would be applicable to these petitions. And therefore, we would have to, under the principles of natural justice, we would have to give every, the petitioner and the respondent an opportunity to put forth their case. There would be leading of evidence. There would be cross-examination, examination of chief. There were in chief. There would be verification. So the entire process will have to be followed. And then only we'll come to a conclusive decision in this matter. As you're all aware, that the cardinal principle of jurisprudence in our country is justice hurried is justice buried, and justice delayed is justice denied. So we do not, neither do we want to hurry, nor do we want to delay, but we want to take a reasoned and an absolute just decision while delivering this, adjudicating these matters.
Okay. Mr. Navrekar, since of course you're not giving me the timeline here, the Supreme Court judgment has also said that both the governor and the speaker erred in taking decisions. The Supreme Court has gone on to say that Speaker's decision to appoint Bharat Gogawale of the Shinde group as the chief whip of the Sena was illegal, and that the issue needed to be examined by a larger bench. Clearly, your office's action was declared illegal. How will you defend your action?
Well, first of all, the whip is not appointed by the Speaker's office. The whip is only recognized by the Speaker's office. And if you look at the provisions of Schedule 10, there is absolutely no clarity with regards to whether the whip should be appointed by the political party or legislative party. And therefore, in the scheme of things and the precedents that have been followed in the Maharashtra state legislature, where a resolution is passed by the majority of the elected MLAs, and accordingly a whip is recognized by the Speaker, has been followed in this case as well. Now that the court has explicitly mentioned that a whip has to be appointed in accordance with the directions or desire of the political party, the law is settled, and therefore we would be able to take a decision on those on that account now. But I don't think there is any malice attributed to that decision.
Okay.
I think the court has only gone to the extent of saying that appointment which recognize the will of the legislature party is perhaps bad in law. But now that they have clarified this issue, I think it's going to be easier henceforth for any presiding officer to take a decision.
Okay, there are certain, paragraphs in this judgment which has raised question on your role. The court also noted that your office did not take into account the two factions in Shiv Sena while deciding on the matter. And I'm quoting, the speaker did not attempt to identify which of the two persons, Mr. Prabhu or Mr. Gogavale, was the whip that has been authorized by the political party. Is there any scope for rectification here?
Well, like I've said, I truly believe that several Supreme Court judgments have dealt with the issue of political party being distinct from a legislature party. And in the present case, the legislature party had passed a resolution to appoint an individual as its whip. And this was the precedence that has been followed in the state legislature for years together. So there was nothing out of line in this decision. And insofar as deciding who really leads a political party, or perhaps who is in control of a political party, I really don't know how much of that comes within the arena and jurisdiction of the Speaker of the State Assembly, because that's a much wider scope. A political party is not only affiliated to the State Assembly, they are affiliated to the parliamentary party, they are affiliated to the Zilla Parishad parties, they are affiliated to local self-government bodies. So, now that the court has said that the speaker should adjudicate as to who really represents the political party, I'm happy to do so. But the fact remains that till now the precedent was different.
Okay. The top court today has questioned your office's decision to keep the disqualification petitions against Mr. Shinde and other MLAs of his camp pending until the Election Commission gave its decision in its favor. Why was this done? Why did you choose to keep it pending?
At the outset, let me tell you, we have not kept anything pending. The process is on. Number two, initially, the court itself had passed directions requesting the speaker not to take a decision till a bench is constituted after the vacations. And therefore, perhaps keeping, we hold the judiciary in utmost respect. We have a very vibrant judiciary, and a democratic setup calls upon every institution to respect and abide by the constitutional orders of the judiciary. And therefore, we abided by those orders. But thereafter, we have not stopped the process. The process is an ongoing process. And now we will initiate the process further by in accordance with the guidelines of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So there is no stoppage to this.
My last question to you, Mr. Narvekar. Experts say while the government that fell, that is Uddhav Thackeray government, was legal but immoral as it dumped its ideological ally, and the government that stands today is legal but immoral. Don't you think that this is a correct assessment? Is illegal but moral, perhaps?
Well, insofar as I am concerned, a government's validity is established on the floor of the House, and the majority is supposed to be established on the floor of the House. Insofar as this government is concerned, they have stood by a confidence motion in the House. They've got more than majority numbers in their favor. So how can I call this government immoral? I think I'll be doing a disservice if I call it immoral. I would be doing a disservice to the Constitution.
All right, Rahul Narvekar, Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Of course, now the ball is in his court when he takes that final decision for the Shinde group. That's all from me. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan. It was an interesting day in court today, ladies and gentlemen, in the Supreme Court, as the Supreme Court had some very, very scathing observations against the conduct of the Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly. The governor of Maharashtra at that time, Bhagat Singh Koshyari, but eventually turned around and said, had you not resigned, we could have given you relief. That was a message to Uddhav Thackeray, while Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis were told, well, your government stands as of now. The aspect of disqualification goes to the Speaker, and as far as whether or not the name Shiv Sena will be retained by Eknath Shinde faction will be decided by the Election Commission. Now, sympathy for Uddhav, relief for Shinde, that's what we saw. The outcome of the Supreme Court's order in June 2022, Uddhav Thackeray stepped down from the post of Maharashtra Chief Minister after Eknath Shinde and his MLAs revolted against the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi or Maha Vikas Aghadi. Now, with this, it paved the way for a new government, and on 30th of June 2022, Eknath Shinde took oath, passed the floor test as Chief Minister of Maharashtra with Devendra Fadnavis as his deputy. The MVA quick to move the Supreme Court seeking relief, but even 10 months after this entire turmoil, the court not in their favor, pointing to that aspect. There were illegalities, there were what the court observed as actions wide the constitution by the governor in office at that time. But Uddhav Thackeray cannot be restored back as Chief Minister since he resigned voluntarily, and that's why the government can't be brought back. Court recognizing that both the then Maharashtra governor and the Speaker did not act in the appropriate manner as per the constitution or the laws prescribed. However, the decision to disqualify 16 MLAs lies with the Speaker. Larger question is, will this entire resign damage end the Aghadi? Because the NCP, Sharad Pawar, has very clearly blamed Uddhav Thackeray and told him, I was upset, and he's ready to return it in his autobiography also. I was upset that Uddhav took the